What? Why does that not surprise me? Okay. Okay. Let's see. So this, I started by talking about this antique document that I have at home that, need my water. Oh, here it is, but I need more. I have this document at home. We've been joking about, what to call your workshops. And Moshe, when he was asked to write a course description, he wrote that he was going to complete the self-image in 10 lessons or less, something like that. These were for some workshops. I don't know how many lessons anyway. These were for some workshops that he was doing, these 4-day workshops in the United States. They're called the Quest workshops. I'm surprised you haven't been through them yet. Well, when you're ready for them, I'm sure they'll appear. Anyway, so when asked to write about what he would teach, he listed 9 ideas or intentions behind the movement sequences he would present. Included in the list was to experience making one feel taller and lighter, to train the voice-breathing as our nervous system would like it to be, parentheses, Feldenkrais voice training, and to become aware of the many different parts of one's self-image and how to complete it in 10 different situations or lessons. Yeah, that's the part. So, and then I've said, as far as I know, he didn't include any direct examples of voice lessons in these workshops, although the year before he did start to work with the theme in the Amherst training. So it's interesting that he had this thing that he called Feldenkrais voice training. But as I said yesterday, the voice is part of our self-image. And what I didn't ask you this morning, but I'll ask you now, is how many people, this dust kind of gets to me. So how many people have a good self-image around their voice? Right. Joel! Oh! Stand up and say that. That's a lot of resonance. Okay, how many people have a good self-image? Or you can't say you have a good anything usually in Australia, but only. You're right. It's different. It's different. And some people who are really good singers can't talk, I've noticed, because they have their palates so lifted all the time that they can't talk. They can all, no, really, it's weird. I mean, I've met some amazing singers that when they teach awareness through movement, I just want to run out of the room. You don't know them, but it's weird because they're like this, and then it's good for singing. Yeah, Nicole. Yeah. Yeah. So your answer would be, I sometimes have a good self-image around my voice, but it doesn't generalize to all situations, right? Just like I'm sometimes confident, but not. Okay. So all right. I haven't ever used that category. Usually I say you have a good self-image, you have medium self-image. So how many people have a medium self-image around their voice? There's 3 categories. Even though you should never put people in categories, but just for the sake of the conversation. So good self-image, medium. So how many have a medium self-image around their voice? But, nobody ever, let me see. And how many have a pour? Okay. And how many before this week never gave it a thought one way or another? I mean, like you didn't really think that you had a particular kind of image around your voice one way or another. You just don't think about it. You think Feldenkrais is all about what? What is it about anyway? The more you go on in the training, the more you have no idea what it's about, right? Yeah. You know, I wrote, by the way, and I forget because it was like a million years ago, I wrote my master's degree on, I have a master's degree. So you heard that. Okay. I should sit next to you when I say nice things about myself, Joel. It'll, you know, kind of. So, but I wrote a master's degree on Feldenkrais and Alexander method for actor training. And so, you know, I wrote like 30, 40 pages about it. But then I got into my training, and after the first year, I couldn't say one sentence about it, you know. So I'm just empathizing. But you'll work through that because you'll have exercises with Jenny where you'll have to come up with some sentences. Okay, anyway. So yeah, self-image. All right, so most of the people, who are the ones that have a good one again? One person? Oh, Joel. Oh, you're coming in. You're around. What? I didn't really understand. Okay. Usually when I ask in groups, the people that have a good self-image around their voice are people who've trained it. Almost, I mean, 90% of the time, people who've had some work with it. Okay, so it's not, you know, it's not unusual. And then you see, what were some of the habits did you bump into some habits you can share with us of ways you interfere with the sound coming out? You know, but you don't want to tell. It's too embarrassing. Okay, Pat, give Pat the microphone.
When I was doing the humming,
yeah,
I was projecting my head and my voice down to the ground.
Uh-huh. Keep your head down, Pat. I love that expression. I have one of my best friends, she's always saying, yeah, I was there. I really had to keep my head down, you know. Keep your head down. Okay.
So does that mean keep it down or?
No, well, now you have a choice. If I say to you, please lie on your back, well, if I say to you, good morning, Pat, how you doing? Right. You have a choice. Okay, what else? Most people, and I'm actually working with this myself in my life right now, very few people have any notion about sound coming forward and out, and we'll get clearer about it by the end. It has to come up through this curve and come out through an open mouth forward. And so you go down and people go back like I was, and you do, or you just keep it here. You just keep it right here. We could do it like that, you know? Or you could just keep it right here, right? Okay. All right, what else?
I've got a familiar pattern that where across my chest it tightens up, and in my throat it tightens up. And as I was saying to you yesterday, it's usually when I'm in loud environments as well. But,
okay, so the work with the tongue will help with that when we'll get there. We're not with the tongue yet, but the tongue is a major place of parasitic contraction. And okay,
actually, yeah. Like you were just saying, I found that I finally got the humming, like, and I could feel my lips and whatever else. And then when I started opening my mouth, I found that my tongue kind of almost stayed instead of dropping down with my jaw. So I had to try and learn to let that go.
Right.
Yeah. So I did find that my tongue was actually kind of holding on and
closes the back of the throat space.
Yeah. So I was trying to relax that as I opened my jaw.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've noticed that that's holding on.
And when you mentioned this idea about starting with the breathing, so from Linklater's point of view, you don't work on the breathing until the tongue is free. Because you have to understand anyway that they're related, because the tongue tries to substitute for the work of the breath. They're very related, but we'll get into that. Okay, one more and then we'll go on. Yeah, Vishali. I'm practicing Vishali. Is that better intonation? Vishali. I'm actually not good with accent. Vishali.
Vaishali.
Vaishali.
Close.
Vaishali. Okay.
I just noticed that when I didn't have direct eye contact or people weren't close to me, that I could almost project to the far wall.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether confidence and knowledge of a subject is linked to your ability to project your voice. So if you're not confident about something, then you might not breathe. Similar to what Nicole was saying, that if you
that's cross motivation. That's a great example of cross motivation. See, because if you have this possibility to have the sound come out like this, but in a certain context, it doesn't come out, it means that you're stopping your expression by judgments about yourself not being knowledgeable enough or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And even
it's kind of in the domain of cross motivation, I think.
Yeah.
Sure.
But even in terms of being, if I came close to, if someone was walking past me, quite close, then I'd shut down. But then when I felt that I had this expanse, because no one's really near me at the moment, that I'm able to project.
Yeah, there's
forward.
that great scene in that Woody Allen movie. It wasn't his best movie, but had some good moments, To Rome with Love, where Woody Allen discovers this man who has his most amazing operatic voice, and he wants to kind of promote him. But the man, he sings in the shower, right? And so, did you see it, Ella? Did you like that part? There's a couple good parts. Anyway, so he sings in the shower. So anyway, Woody Allen goes through this whole thing, and it's going to be like Woody Allen's come back to have this famous guy discovered by Woody Allen's character. But it turns out he goes to the audition and he freezes, right? And he can't do it in front of these people. He can only do it alone in the shower. So ultimately, Woody Allen figures out a way to have him perform on stage, standing in the bathtub. And they kind of roll this bathtub, this shower out on stage, and the guy's singing, and But I mean, it's pretty funny, right? So it's kind of like that. Alone at home in the shower, lots of people can sing. But, so what is it? Why do we give other people, anyway, why do we give these people such power over our inner life? Forget it. Don't give anybody. I mean, we do. We project onto other humans all sorts of things that we think that they're thinking about us. And actually, 90% of the time, they're not thinking about us at all. They're thinking about themselves, as Joel has modeled for us. So clearly... You've really helped us see that you don't have time to be judging the people around you because you're so busy with yourself, right? And but I really, the amount of time we spend thinking that somebody is thinking about us when they're not is amazing, right? But, or they're going to judge us, or they're going to know we don't know, whatever. But that's what we do till we get free. And then we use it for other things. Okay, so now we're going to go on, and we're going to do the first. I'm having too much fun. I can't focus. Okay, now we're going to do the first Linklater exercise from her book. Thanks, Margaret. God, you have this, you really keep your head down when you serve me. I like it. She's like, she's got it down. So the first exercise in the book is called, I will stop coughing eventually, is called a spinal drop down. So stand up. And this is how she goes about working with the channel for sound. So in standing, you're going to drop down from the top of the spine, one vertebra at a time. So the first thing is drop your head. Let your weight come forward. And then you really have to keep letting your weight come forward. And then find out if you can drop down your spine one vertebra at a time so that your hands will get closer to the floor. You need to bend your knees as you go down. So the more, you've all done 4 points in here, so it's almost like you're going toward having your hands forward. So that when you would come down to the very bottom of the spinal drop down, your hands would touch the floor and you would release your tailbone toward the ceiling. You have to really bend your knees forward and let the weight come forward. It's almost like falling. And then once you're down there like that, pick your pelvis up, put it on top of your legs, and start building back up. Everybody's at their own point in the drop down, that's fine. No, you don't, your knees don't go toward the floor. Then you pick your pelvis up and you start coming up your spine one vertebra at a time. And feel, so in this position, don't lock your knees though. In this position, going over the weight, the force of gravity helps helps you feel the vertebra in a certain way more clearly. There's some things that this position makes easier, and there's some things this position makes less easy. So just have your own impressions of that. And then do it again. So just one moment before you go. So the drop, you think of taking the top of your head, really, really letting it go. And we've been working enough with the jaw that you can feel that hinge at the top of the spine. And then the weight of the head takes you down and helps you feel one vertebra at a time. You have to keep letting the weight shift forward and really trying to let go of the head. Some of you, I already saw in a lot of the work this week, know you've got your knees locked. That's it. Keep letting the knees bend forward over the feet. And then pick the pelvis up from the lowest vertebra, and the head stays hanging until the very, very, very end. So the last thing to happen as you come back up is that you pick your head up and you put it on top of your spine. You can think of it like that. The head is the last thing to come up. That's it. And stop. See, no, you take it too far. You take it too far. What's that doing to your channel? See, if we were in acting school, I would correct you. Feldenkrais, we don't. But you feel? Okay. So there's something there that's... Yeah, so at the end, can you have your eyes horizontal? Can you have your head really vertical? Some of you are putting your head now in a very new place, and the necks are much longer. So so this is her way of helping you find in performing arts, they use words like alignment, which we would find a bit static in Feldenkrais. We don't align ourselves, but you can feel, with the help of this, like where you can put the head so you really get the verticality, the top of the head toward the ceiling. Okay, now when I was a young 20-year-old, my first week of voice work in the school, we spent 3 classes, 1 hour each, learning how to do this. Amazing, huh? So that was it. But we're in the fast lane, so we're going to spend 5 minutes on it. Okay, now this time we're going to accelerate. We're going to go on. You look great, actually. Do you feel the back parts of yourself a bit more clearly in standing than usual? See, they're there. We just don't bother to include them. I mean, just turn and face each other for a minute so you can see. You look really, now it's going to be social and you'll mess. Never mind. You're not ready for the social stuff yet. Come back to your private space. See, it's just, what is it that we allow other people to do to us? So sad. It's like, oh, I'm strong, I'm powerful as long as I'm in the shower. All right, good. No, it's amazing. You were like, boom, and then you turned and you went, yeah. Okay. So now this time you drop down on a hum. So you and you drop down on a hum. When you're at the bottom of the drop down, you open your mouth, you let the sound. Now you're going to get to keep your head down and make sound. That'll work. You open your mouth, you let the sound come out and hit the floor. Okay? So try not to do any monkey business when the mouth opens and the sound comes out. Bend the knees, let the weight come forward. And then let the breath replace whenever it needs to. You do not need to get down on one breath. When you run out of air, just let it come in. Breathe as many times as you want going down. And then close the mouth, build up the spine. When you get to the top and you put your head really on top of the spine and you're really very vertical, you open your mouth, you let the sound come out, go forward. Hit the wall. Don't throw your head back. You close your channel. See, some people, they take the head past vertical and they lift the chin and the couple neck vertebrae go forward and close off the space. If you feel comfortable, you can try some different pitches or not. If you just want this kind of mid-range pitch, that's fine. Don't throw your head back. Good. And just lie on your back and rest a minute. I think it's enough for one morning anyway. So, all right, this is part 1 of the experiment. As I said, that Kristen starts with the idea of a channel for sound. Her first exercise is dropping up and down the spine, and then the next step is dropping up and down with a hum. And one of the things we talked about in awareness through movement is when we lie down, we're able to feel ourselves a little bit better. So how the Feldenkrais work can make it easier to relate to what you see. If we'd started this morning with the spine, just dropping down the spine without the spine like a chain, you think it would have been different? You think you would have had more effort involved? Probably. All right, good. Just listen to your breathing and listen to your face and your mood and if there's any positive influences of this. So what I noticed when I was, the first time I brought this work, well, the second time I brought it into a training in Vienna, and they were like the Amherst training, they were doing 9 weeks straight. And by week 5 or 6, they were very exhausted. And I noticed that when I just did an hour or 2 of this voice work, the humming, the resonance, and I noticed that it really revitalized them. And then, while I was preparing it and working with it and starting to teach it a bit more, I also noticed it really revitalized me. And so when I met Kristen, and I was driving her, it was a big conference somewhere. I got to be her driver, which I was happy about. And so I said to her, I said to her, you know, Kristen, what is it about your work that makes me so happy? And she said, well, you know, I'm writing a book right now, which, as far as I know to this day, I haven't seen this book, but I'm just telling you. But she said to me, I'm writing a book, and the name of the book is Through the Voice to the Self. That was the name of the book she was working on, Through the Voice to the Self. So I'll let you ponder that as you roll up to sitting, stand up, walk around, and have a very nice lunch break. Come back at 10 to 2. I'm giving you 7 extra minutes. We'll do more Feldenkrais after lunch and a bit of other things as well.